Climate change is the immediate defining crisis, and displacement is one of its most devastating consequences. Safe and sustainable solutions for displaced people are becoming harder to achieve as climate change adds to degraded and dangerous conditions in areas of origin and refuge. Earlier in the week, News Central's Bettina Nwelih was present at the climate change event and tells us more in this.
The climate crisis is driving displacement and making life harder for those already forced to flee. Entire populations are already suffering the impacts of climate change, but vulnerable people living in some of the most fragile and conflict-affected countries are often disproportionately affected. Refugees, internally displaced and stateless people are on the front lines of the climate emergency. Many are living in climate hotspots where they typically lack the resources to adapt to an increasingly hostile environment.
I think one of the key things we think about, especially if you're in a state like Lagos, is the fact that you're losing talent. A lot of time when migration happens, you're losing young people, the youth, the future of your society. You're losing key economic contributors. So it's something of concern. And also what that often means when you think about Lagos and you think about the stretch of coastline that we have, is that you're losing a lot of valuable land.
So climate migration has to do with migration as a result of climate change. So take for instance, you have flooding, which is caused by the change in the climate, and due to the flooding, people have to leave their houses. It could be migration within a country, within a community, or migration outside the community. So that's just for individuals. You could start by clearing the gutters and proper management of waste. Even with the problem, people don't even seem to realize how much their waste or how much improper disposal of their waste is contributing to the issue.
According to the World Bank, about 9.4 million people could become climate migrants in Nigeria by 2050. This disclosure was contained in the new World Bank's report, Groundswell Africa, Internal Climate Migration in West African Countries. The impacts of climate change are numerous and may trigger displacement and worsen living conditions or hamper return for those who have already been displaced.
We need to rethink how we build. We need to rethink our approach to urban development and planning. We need to also think about the types of infrastructure we use, how we roll that out, whether it's for mobility, for transportation, or it's in measuring the amount and reducing the amount of pollution that we have in a city or a state like Lagos.
Limited natural resources, such as drinking water, are becoming even scarcer in many parts of the world that host refugees. Crops and livestock struggle to survive where conditions become too hot and dry or too cold and wet, threatening livelihoods. In such conditions, climate change can act as a threat multiplier, exacerbating existing tensions and adding to the potential for conflicts. Bettina Nwelih, reporting for News Central.